Elisabeth Hasselback is back on The View. And for those who don't remember how she destroyed the crows of The View with her intelligent, fiery, conservative takes, take a look at this.
Washington Post asked if the Obama legacy is being written before he even takes the oath of office. Now, Newsweek's cover pairs him with Lincoln. NBC News has a DVD titled Yes, We Can, the Barack Obama Story. Time magazine has him looking very much like FDR as I looked at Halloween.
Right.
Now, people are sort of upset about all of this.
Why?
I think they're just saying, people are drawing a comparison, some think, a little too early. And I think that with the DVD coming out, with the news giant backing it, it makes you question and they've been questioning it throughout the election, are these news organizations and papers, et cetera, outlets coddling Barack Obama? Have they given him, if they're coming out with these DVDs, did they have a vetted interest? And I think it just makes you question their take, and to say, to make the draw between Obama and Lincoln right now, he hasn't even stepped into office yet, is, some would say presumptuous. And in terms of coddling, if Barack Obama the other day said he is, as president-elect, reading Lincoln to try to study up on how he handled the country. If Sarah Palin had said she was reading Lincoln, we'd say she was cramming. If Barack Obama does it, he's a genius. Barack Obama says he wants to get Osama bin Laden, he's a hero.
Whoa. Yeah. First of all, it's creative visualization, as far as I'm concerned.
I understand that. I'm an artist. I understand what that is.
And if Sarah Palin says it, we all know that the woman is an airhead, so let's not even go there. Okay? This guy has a brand. And can I just say another thing? I think that it's very, very unpatriotic of a lot of people to put him down already before the guy has even had a chance.
They're not.
Please. Plenty of people already on the right.
People are giving him a chance.
Excuse me. They are doing it already.
I remember.
And he has 8 years to clean up this guy of what your guy did, Bush, not my guy.
This has been
it's a tough situation. Plenty of stuff.
He had a hand in it as well, just so you know.
Yes, say something. Sherry, say something.
I was also going to say, but Elizabeth, this has never happened before. This is a historic moment, and people are excited. I think you also.
I was excited. Look, I understand the historical value.
You said I was excited too. People.
All right, folks, we got a lot more where that came from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all as you watch this broadcast. It's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, y'all.
And Shelly E.
Hi.
All right, before we light this fire, do your part. Tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notification. We are live here on YouTube and Rumble tonight. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. Folks, we wanted to take a trip down memory lane because, as you all know, Elisabeth Hasselback is on The View this week. She is the OG conservative. She still, to me, is the best one. Even better than Meghan McCain, definitely better than Alyssa. She would get them right, fact check them, and she was fiery as she did it. Nicole, what did you think of that exchange we saw at the top of the show?
Do you know, if number one, she was the only one.
Right.
She didn't need any backup, and she didn't let them interrupt her.
She did.
I love that she finished her thought, and no matter how much they squawked in the background, she's like, I said what I said. Now y'all can talk.
Yeah.
Right. I love that about her. We've not seen that kind of conservative strength on this show since then.
Yep. Absolutely. Shelley, what are your thoughts?
You want a quick take or you want my thought?
Give it.
So no. I didn't watch The View as regularly, but when I did see Elisabeth, I loved Elisabeth. I thought that little top was cute, that little throwback top. But no, I loved Elisabeth.
She doesn't age. She looks exactly the same.
Well, okay.
Oh,
but
anyway,
anyway, but no, I loved her when I liked her spirit. I liked her energy, and she was able to kind of give it back and fact check them. But this is what I think. These are my deeper thoughts. I thought when we were talking about this topic, I think this throwback, if you will, and I'm not criticizing, I'm just making an observation. I think this is a throwback for the Republican Party in general, and I'll tell you why. The Republican Party, the right, RNC, whatever, conservatives, right now, our side is in this friction. And I think we are looking for something like a old OG or a nostalgia, if you will, something that we can kind of help frame us again, because we have this friction in our party with, I guess, the younger Republicans and some of their nuances, and the older Republicans are just saying, wow, I just wanted the way it was. We're not there anymore. So I think this is what this is symbolizing. And I'm not criticizing at all. I'm just making an observation of why, Elisabeth is there and what she represents as far as the old school Republican style.
Yeah, well, you brought up a very good point, because I feel like a lot of Republicans now are not as fiery as she used to be. We've sort of, and not all, but I would say in front, and it may not even be us, it may just be the way we're portrayed on mainstream TV, but it's just like there are no fiery Republicans like she was. She was not only fiery, but she was intelligent. She was not she wasn't sort of making herself smaller just because she didn't want to seem like she was being too aggressive. I loved it. I loved her energy. I loved what she said. Nicole, what are your thoughts there?
So all the fiery Republicans have their own shows.
Right.
Okay. This is what I'm saying. Right. Everybody has their own show because the mainstream media would not hire us. Even now, my friend Tim Parrish is sometimes talking head on CNN. I think we'll show one of his clips tonight. Tim is a very mannerable person, Marine Corps, very kind, chivalrous, all of that. If he raised his voice, they would probably have security come and escort him out. So you have to, as a conservative talking head on liberal TV, there is some decorum that you have to follow that they don't, or they won't invite you back. They'll go out and find another mild-mannered Republican to replace you. That's not necessarily fair because they're screaming and hollering and hooting and howling, and you have to sit there and kind of take it. But you do see people come across every now and again, like Scott. He lets them hoot and holler. He hits them with some facts. And when they get too out of line, he beats them back. But a lot of Republicans aren't going to let them hoot and holler for a long time. Now, I can't speak on behalf of anybody else on this panel, but they got one time to raise their voice. That's it. I'm going to give you that one time God's grace. After that, you run over, you're going to limp back.
You know what I'm waiting for.
Exactly.
I want to just get next to Sunny. I want to get next to Sunny. And I want to rip out her weave.
Oh, my God. Not to the roots. Not to the roots.
Well, folks, we are bringing to you, just for a couple of minutes at the top of this show, we wanted to remind you who Elisabeth Hasselback is, and want to bring to you some of the fiery takes that she used to really give The View. And then we want to bring it back to present day, because she had a fiery take just today on illegal immigration. Take a look at this another one where she used to spar with them and she used to wipe the floor. This is clip 2.
Is between 900 and 100,000 people. So it's a terrible war. And we should take a minute.
This is not the day for that. Look, today we have 23 million Americans fighting right now who have served our country. They have spent their lives dedicated to our country. 1.8 million of them are women. Today is a day to just honor their quiet courage. Our freedoms rest on their shoulders. This is not a day of complaining. Do not complain about this war today. This is their day. It's our day to honor them.
I'm complaining about the boys and girls in the war.
Just take a day.
I am saluting them by talking about what the trials and tribulations have been because of this war. Walter Reed Hospital is still a mess. Things like that have not been corrected.
I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about improvements.
Well, when are we going to talk about this if not on Veterans Day?
I think we should talk about it every day. I think it's a conversation. But today is a day of honor. These are men and women who courageously and silently have been fighting for us to even have our discussions here that we have today, that all Americans can talk freely, that we can walk in the streets and proclaim our like or dislike for certain things in this country. This is their day. It's not our day to gripe about the cost of war in terms
Yes, come through, Queen.
Yeah,
Come through,
I
Queen.
mean, and this is still going on today, folks. This was many, many years ago, I believe back in 2008, and we're still having these tug of war conversations. We just saw it with Megyn Kelly. I want to get your thoughts on this, Shelley. You are a veteran, and we are seeing people say that they take issue with the way people are referring and talking, and I want to even say using the military as sort of their talking point. What are your thoughts on what she said? She said, this is Veterans Day. Yes, we understand there are issues with the military, with the way leadership handles the military, but this is Veterans Day. It's the day to honor them. Yeah. What are your thoughts there?
I agree. Number one, there are several holidays on our calendar where we just want to take a day to just remember, be grateful, be thankful, to give pause and honor Veterans Day, Memorial Day, things like that, those who have sacrificed and are still sacrificing. That's number one. Number two, I have to say, my overall freedom aspect, freedom of speech, say what you want, but don't take away, do not minimize, again, that blanket of freedom that we all sleep under every night, including myself. And I thank the ones who have gone before me and are still in. But that blanket of freedom, you always have to remember that you get to pull it up every night in relative, and maybe more than relative safety, comfort, and certainly freedom. So don't ever forget that, okay? And thirdly, to all the veterans, again, those who've gone, I say every day is Veterans Day. And every American, if you have not served, I think that should be your frame of reference. Every damn day is Veterans Day. And don't ever tell a veteran that the veterans don't have the same rights that we actually some of us lay down our lives and fight for. Don't ever say that, okay? Whether you agree or disagree, don't ever tell a veteran that, because you will get pushback, and that's putting it lightly, because we don't do that. We don't just quote unquote, I know some people think we just take orders and that we are mindless robots. No, we're not. But to the Elisabeth Hasselbacks, I agree with her. There's a day to just rest and pause, if you will, and just say thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we saw that clip, Nicole, and it also, I mean, she kind of echoed the same sentiments recently when she came from Megyn Kelly when she said, Megyn, don't sit there and tell the military they're fighting for Israel. They're fighting for the American troops, the American way of life. So what are your thoughts if we can kind of connect those two dots there?
So she hit the nail on the head. Elisabeth hit the nail on the head. Megyn, I get what she was trying to say. I get what she was trying to communicate, but it falls flat when the nation is in the middle of a conflict, right? And she says, well, they died for Israel. No, they died for the more than 2,000 Americans who have been killed, hurt, maimed. There are soldiers who are still trying to recover from their injuries.
From Vietnam.
Not only from Vietnam, I'm talking about from Iran and their proxies. We talk about Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis. When I tell you that little tiny country sponsored terror all over the world, anytime they took out an American, it was bonus points.
Right.
So don't tell me just because this conflict isn't happening on American soil, that it negates what these soldiers are doing to protect the Americans and to get our lick back for the ones they've already killed. It is short-sighted, and I get it. It's clickbaity, and she got the bump that she wanted to get from saying something incendiary, but she's got to live with that, because people like me who lost a loved one, who proudly served his nation, people like Shelley who served her nation with honor and distinction, we're the type of people that you can pray all you want to, but you can't say I'm praying for the troops and then your next sentence be, well, they were dumb enough to do it, or the United States military is a lapdog to somebody. Girl, be quiet.
Can I say something? I just want to say something in honor of my, your loved one. And I see veterans almost every day. And these men, mostly men, but some women, certainly from the Korean War, Vietnam, and on up, right? Especially the older ones. You have these older veterans who will still shed a tear. Okay, shed a tear because of whatever memories, people they've lost, but they are still as patriotic as a newborn with a clean slate, if you will. They are still as patriotic. They still want our country. They will wear their gear, their hats, and their regalia so proudly, right? Now, they're older. They may be feeble, sickly, things like that. I see them almost every day. But one thing they will always say is America, USA, America first. They may not say America first, but my point that I'm making, the sentiment is there. Right. So you will never, again, don't, I'm not saying you can criticize. I don't care about that.
Absolutely.
But do not poo-poo or take for granted those who actually stand up, take the oath, and put their lives on the line. Overseas, mostly, certainly, but they put their lives on the line. Our Coast Guard guards our shores. Do not underestimate or take for granted their service. Another type of person I cannot tolerate, I cannot stand ingratitude.
Yeah, and that's what that is. When you talk about a grateful nation, so President Trump is going to be in Delaware to receive the service members who have been slain in this conflict. With that said, he's got 1,000,001 other things that he needs to be doing, but nothing is more important to him than when they come back to U.S. soil to be greeted by their commander-in-chief. That's a big deal. That is a big deal. And the families who are grieving their loss, I'm going to tell you, our nation should be grieving their loss. They're the best among us. They're the ones who said, you know what, let me answer the call to make sure that the rest of everybody else can continue to live their luxurious lives like Megyn Damn Kelly. You know, it seems to me that people who have the most privilege seem to forget the people who are paying it forward so you can have said privilege. It makes me sick because she's smarter than that. She's absolutely smarter than that. She's more capable than that. She's well-read. She's knowledgeable. So when she said that, as it was reported, and then I was like, oh, she didn't really say that. So I watched it. I was like, dang, she really did say it. But it hit me that maybe, just maybe, she didn't kind of think it all the way through. But I get what she was trying to say. She doesn't like Israel. We know that she's, anti-Israel. And she took the bait like everyone else who's anti-Israel. This was their moment to jump on Bibi's back. But are you going to step on the American flag to do it?
Wow. Yeah. Folks, sound off in the chat. Let us know what you think. Folks, your super chats go a long way in helping keeping us online, and we appreciate your support. So definitely hit that super chat button. Any amount is appreciated, but we love the 10s, the 20s, the 50s. That's really helpful. But again, any amount is appreciated. We appreciate you guys. We're building a community here of, as I said in the beginning, God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving patriots that value freedom. So please hit that like button as you come in. And again, your super chats go a long way in keeping us online. So again, we're going to stay on this sort of route here, talking about the incredible, the incomparable Elisabeth Hasselback, and kind of taking us down memory lane, because a lot of these issues that she used to spar with The View are actually, they're hot buttons now. And then we can see how we didn't take into consideration how important they were then, and they've really overrun us now. So on that same way, we're talking about, here in this next clip, she's going at it with the ladies of The View regarding Obama. At that time, I believe he was running for candidacy, and it came out that he went to a church of Jeffrey Wright, Reverend Jeffrey Wright, and he said some very anti-American, incendiary comments. Take a look here. This is clip 3.
US of KKKA. He's, said essentially after 9/11, and now we're indignant because the stuff we have done overseas is now brought right back into our own front yards. Americans' chickens are coming home to roost. He's made comments that the Reverend, not Obama, and made comments about suggesting that government run by white rich men has injected HIV into Black Americans. I don't know, suggesting what, but he's made these comments, and people are concerned because Barack Obama has been in his church for 20 years.
Well, Barack Obama, and by the way, people forget, yes, he's half Black, but he's also half white.
Right.
And he has been soaring above racism, and many people are very pleased and very proud of the fact that he has done that.
But he has attended this church for 20 years. This is where I have the problem. He just recently decided to denounce his statements when it's been 20 years of sitting there listening. If you do push-ups for 20 years straight, are you going to have a strong chest? Yes. At the end of 20 years, to suggest that something you've been an active participant in doesn't affect you and doesn't create, who you are, have anything to do with who you are and what your thoughts are, I think that's a bit naive.
All right, there she was again talking about Jeremiah Wright. Thank you guys for correcting me. Being the so-called reverend of Obama at the time, now President Obama. Shelley, what did you think of that exchange? Because Jeremiah Wright was saying things then that have now become mainstream.
Yeah, it's a good point to remember that these issues, if you will, they never really die. They come back, they ebb and flow depending on the political climate, the cultural climate, in this case, the religious climate. But Jeremiah Wright, in a sense, now I'm thinking about it now, he reminds me, he was kind of a forerunner of many of the so-called policies that we see today, right? He was, I guess, I don't know if I want to use the word salacious, outlandish, but he was certainly bold in his proclamations, and he made, up until the time when Barack started running or he announced his campaign, he made no qualms about his racist theology, his Black liberation theology, or whatever it was. He made no qualms about it. Once Barack started running and then the cameras were on, he kind of, slid back a little bit. But remember, this was also the time when Michelle Obama told us that this was the first time in her life that she'd ever been proud of America. So during this time frame, again.
But remember how those snippets, at least I can remember like it was yesterday when that actual show, because I used to watch The View, it wasn't made a big deal. Like people were trying to sweep it under the rug and say, and give Barack Obama the benefit of the doubt. Right. But now as we look at it, I'm thinking it was a big deal because now we're seeing more of it. Like we thought it was on the fringe. It wasn't
Two
really.
words. Social media.
Yeah.
Social media was not at all, or certainly wasn't as prominent where things go around the world on a dime now compared to that. I think it was hotly contested then, but again, it wasn't social media. So not everyone, most people were on daytime watching, they weren't watching The View, right? They didn't get the news until later. So again, I think that's a big part of it.
Listen, I have one word instead of your two words, herpes. This is what this is like. This foolishness keeps popping up every now and again. It's an opportunistic infection. So
a cycle of beer.
Listen, some Valtrex, something. They need to do something with this foolishness. But this is what happens when you have a vacuum. The wolves will come.
Yeah.
And anytime there's a vacuum in the Black community, that vacuum, unfortunately, is filled with remnants of slavery, remnants of Jim Crow, all of the wrongs instead of the rights. When we talk about Black America today in 2026, we should be talking about how we went from freedom to flourishing. But most people don't want to hear that. They still want to sing old Negro spirituals and talk about, things that they've never seen in their lifetime, their mother's never seen in her lifetime, their grandmother's never seen in their lifetime, and they're not even getting the facts straight. I had someone in my office today, speaking of racist people, came in and told me that, she discovered that I was a Republican. I said, well, how did you do that? She said, well, I was on YouTube and, you're on this little podcast. I was like, oh, you think?
Somebody asked me about the podcast.
Yeah, right. So we're getting outed, right?
Yeah.
So she was like,
keep sharing.
Right. So she says to me, I don't know how I feel about it. I said, well, your feelings are your own. The one you shouldn't pick is salty, because I don't do salty in my office. Salty people get unemployed. This is just how I roll. So she says to me, well, I don't like your opinions. And I said, that's okay too, because again, I get to pick them. Yeah. I get to pick the opinions I have. But this is not what we do here. Right? This is what we do here is healthcare. So, find you a patient and make them healthy. This is what I require of that. So she says to me, well, you guys are super racist on that show.
Oh, wow.
What?
You are super
Can
racist.
we get her on?
Folks, you guys sound off in the chat. Are we racist on this show?
She called me racist. I was like, yes. Okay. And she was waiting for me to have some emotional reaction to the word. And I said, okay. Right. And that's the face. Okay. Yep. I'll be racist. But guess what I am? Your boss. Back to work. Back to the salt mines girlfriend. But it made me think of how people view Black Republicans, how people see Black conservatives. So in our Discord, I posted a picture. It was from I think it was 1892 National Republican Notification Committee. So that was the precursor to the RNC. This has always been the RNC. They would get together and pick a nominee, and then this notification committee would notify the person that you've been nominated to be president of the United States. So this was for Benjamin Harrison, his second term in office as president. And it's a beautiful picture. And guess who's also in the picture? Frederick Douglass is in the picture. There are several notable Black people in this picture. And people were blown away. Wow. They must have been the office boys. No, these are Black Republicans. You guys have got to stop this foolishness where you think Black people are a monolith. We never have been. In fact, back then we were more Republican than we were Democrat.
Yeah.
You know, it just makes me crazy. But go ahead and call me racist. It's not a problem. And I'm glad people are watching the show, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or independent.
Exactly.
We need the views.
We have some super chatters here. Let's see. Kung Fu CJ, thank you for your $2 super chat. Says y'all are not racist. Thank you for that. We also have Paul. Hi, Paul. Thank you for coming back. Your $10 super chat. He says, just supporting the better view tonight on Poppin' Politics.
Thank you,
Paul, so much for that. Nicole, can we get that lady on the show? I think we have another super chat here. I got a quick question, but Momo, just put it in the chat. Who dressed up like the Swedish whore? I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, wow.
He said that earlier. Anyway, hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for your comments. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. You got to do it right now if you have not done so already. And I do have a correction.
Well,
I'm racist.
Listen, I'll take it too.
I'm racist because I only believe there's one race. So I am for the human race. Okay. So that I am racist in that sense. Now, I would like to talk to this bigoted woman. But someone asked me like, oh, aren't you on this podcast or something today too? So it's going around, like Nicole said, keep sharing.
Yes, please.
I put her on UAs. So I was like, okay, go run the UAs. Go in there with some P.
Yes, please, folks. Share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Folks, we want to get this out to the masses. We want to get what we say out to the masses, okay? So if you have social media, share it on your timeline, send it in a DM, send it to your liberal friends, okay? Because we're kind of like unicorns. We're the oxymorons in this thing, all right? But you're looking at people here who are in a liberal state, and we are not drinking the Kool-Aid of the left. All right. And this is what it is. So thank you guys so much. We're going to continue down this memory lane for just one more video here. This one is Elisabeth really giving it to the crows of the View on the appointment of Sonia Sotomayor. Take a look. This is clip 4.
You also have to understand that that is their job. They take an oath to, without bias, prejudice, etc., have that pure interpretation of law. And I think that's what everyone is asking of her. You know, President Obama had said that he, in looking for someone for this position, wanted someone who had empathy, who could understand someone else's situation.
Yeah. What's
certainly, I think empathy is a very important quality. Yeah. I also don't believe it has a place on the bench of the Supreme Court because I don't think so, because what it does is it puts in emotion. When you're interpreting our law, okay, emotion shouldn't be there. And empathy also makes it not only emotional, but also personal. I understand you and where you're coming from because I've been there. Therefore, like if you're judging something, okay, if the law says you shall not drive drunk, okay, you pull someone over, it's your job to judge whether someone else has been driving drunk or not. Right. They pull over, drunk, driving, you say, you know what, I've been there. I had too many to drink. I got in my car. I put the keys in. Wait a minute.
You still broke the law. Here's the ticket.
No, if you apply that and you don't come out with the conclusion that says, you know what, though, I understand it, so I'm going to let you off.
I don't think that's logical.
What they want from her is strict interpretation of the law, pure interpretation of the law, minus the empathy. And I think that.
All right. She's on fire. Nicole, what do you think about her take there?
I love it.
The law.
I absolutely love it. You know, there's a place for empathy. There's a place for bringing your own personal experience, your lived experience to certain situations. But when the law is black and white, I need it to be black and white. You know, I don't think you should bring. We had the story of that judge who let this guy go because he reminded her of like her nephew or something. I mean, we can't have that. You have to be able to put the greater community good before what you feel, before your lived experience. And I think she was right on Sotomayor.
Yeah.
I think she was absolutely right.
Yeah. Shelley.
Yeah, I agree with Elisabeth, but I do want to make this comment. Actually, our law does allow for, I don't know if it's empathy. I don't know if it's empathy, that's the word I would use, but it does allow for differentiations in certain circumstances, which is why we have civil, we have criminal, we have felonies, we have misdemeanors. We all, and of course, different states have, I don't know what, 3 strikes you're out. So our laws, if you will, already allow for that. Again, I don't know if I would use the word empathy, but it certainly has a place for discerning and differentiating between different types of crimes. You know, the severity of the crime, certainly, or the violence involved. So that's already built into our system. What Joy and whomever else was on there, what they want everything to be interpreted by, like Elisabeth said, oh, just because my personal experience or whatever. But what they never fail to do, they never fail to take into account the victims and what it cost them.
Exactly. You know, which is really interesting. If you have some free time, you should read the dissenting opinions of Ketanji Brown. What you read is pure emotion. It'll be 15 pages of just emotion and then a half a paragraph about the law. And that is the difference. You know, you're supposed to be interpreting this black and white law. You can bring your emotion in, but your emotion should be the one paragraph, not the meat and potatoes of your dissent. And I think over time, hopefully, prayerfully, that someone will shape and mold her so that she better understands that there's a place for emotion, but this ain't it.
Yeah. I mean, we have, instead of empathy, we have background. So you look at someone, is this your first offense?
Right.
You know, are you, what kind of life did you come from? You know, what, I mean, I think those things can add to a decision, particularly in the criminal aspect of the law, you know, but this whole thing about empathy and, you know, all that should have no place in the law. Okay. And that is where we go into an area of danger to me, because it does not take each case. Right. You're not applying the same thing to each case. So folks, sound off in the chat. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with Elisabeth Hasselback on her commentary about Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor? And folks, as you come in, hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience. We appreciate the support. When you come in and you hit that like button, it tells YouTube to share this broadcast, and that's exactly what we want to do. Our goal is to hit 250,000 subscribers. We can only do it with your help. I know you have some super chatters here. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, we have who do we have, producers? Looks like we have Sergio. Thank you for your $20 super chat. Thank you for joining us, Sergio. Are you a new person? Let us know in the chat. Kung Fu CJ is back again with $5. I see y'all got them something kickers on. Chat, don't make them angry tonight. Mine are tried and true. One. 3 equals 1.
Oh, what about me? I don't get a show.
Oh, KJ had heels on.
Jeez.
Oh, $1.99. I'm sorry, your $2 super chat. I like to round off. Not racist, not black, not white, but American. Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yes. Show them, KJ.
Yeah. All I do is wear heels. All I do is heel, never up.
Listen.
Black up and dance. Hold on. Yeah, our Black Pearl, $5. I love y'all ladies. I'm a proud Black conservative. I don't get to see y'all live a lot, but I'm watching y'all. I tell others to watch y'all too. Thank you for that, Black Pearl. Thank you for that so much. The Voice of Reason. Thank you for your $5 super chat. And he's also one of our mods. The law has a reasonableness standard. Would an officer reasonably believe, would a citizen reasonably believe, that is literally a standard applied? Absolutely. Thank you for that, the Voice of Reason. Thank you all for your super chats again. Let me remind you, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe. Don't come in our house and you didn't hit that like button.
Right.
And while you're here, get yourself some merch.
Yes.
We talk about, you'll see the scroll saying, buy the ladies a lipstick, buy yourself some merch. This is a great way to support the show. It's a great way to let people know where you stand. Now, some of the shirts are spicier than others, but give me my money back is a shirt that anybody can wear. Democrat, independent, Republican, that is a great shirt. Those people are crazy. The Trump shirt is probably the next shirt that I'm going to get, simply because he's right. They're out of their daggone minds. They are out of their minds. These people are crazy.
Yes, indeed.
I think it's a great shirt. And I wouldn't do that with the tie-dye though.
No, yeah,
It
no,
makes
that
them look
doesn't-
crazy.
right,
like
yeah.
And then people are thinking I'm crazy, right?
But buy what you want. That's okay.
Listen,
if you
buy
like it, buy it.
Listen, if you like that color scheme, get two, because the washing machine's probably going to dampen your tie-dye just a smidge. But we have lots and lots of things on our merch store. Please go in. It's a great way to support the channel and wear your politics. This is a great thing. And I think even our brother station, Just the Guys, has some merch on their merch store too. But this is a great way to support us. And we're so grateful and thankful for the people who do that.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of our other folks, you guys are watching us on the Metro Conservative Media Network. All right. And Just the Guys is one of the shows on this platform. Just the Guys podcast. You can catch them every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Just the Guys podcast. They bring you talk about Marxism, communism, and how it is being implemented in various areas of our lives. They also are an all-male perspective, so that's just a little different than here, but it's great. You got to watch them at Just the Guys podcast on Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. All right. And then if you want a biblical perspective, check out me on at KJ Christian Conservative. I'll be on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. We are live every Thursday and Sunday at 9 p.m. Me and Michelle. Tomorrow, we're going to bring you all the dirt, not so much dirt, but all of the information about Tallarico. Okay. He is the one, he comes off as this religious Democrat, folks. He is far from that. Texas. Yeah, you gotta vote against this guy. What's his first name? Tallarico.
Loser.
I forget.
Yeah, James. I think it's James Tallarico. We're going to talk about him and much more tomorrow night on at KJ Christian Conservative. Definitely check it out. Like, share, and subscribe. All right. So we got to bring it up to this week. So this week, Elisabeth was giving it. She's a special guest host on The View this week, and she ripped them, all right, this week, talking about illegal immigration. Take a look at this next clip. This is 5A.
I just asked if you had anything you wanted to say to the parents or to the family of Renee Good after you called them domestic terrorists.
Can't even imagine what they have gone through in the loss of their son and the loss of their family members.
But how about specifically calling them domestic terrorists without any evidence of that?
Sir, ma'am, I did not call him a domestic terrorist. I said it appeared to be an incident of.
I think the parents saw it for what it was.
And in human fashion, many were quick to rewind to what she said in the days following the death of Alex Peretti. Take a look.
You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism. This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism. That's the facts.
So some senators said...
All right. Well, she didn't lie. That's what she said. Now, I want to talk to you, Nicole, about that. I mean, she did get a lot of pushback talking about Christi Noem, about those comments saying that it was an act of domestic terrorism. What are your thoughts there?
She's right.
Okay.
I mean, there's no two ways about it. The facts clearly bear that out. What people don't like about Christi Noem, and especially a lot of Democrat women, calling her DHS Barbie, immigration Barbie, that kind of thing, because she has a certain look to her and a certain swagger with her that comes with being a former governor of a state, in this nation. And make no mistake, she's opinionated. She always has been. This is how she got the national attention. She says what's on her mind, kind of like Donald Trump. She doesn't bite her tongue, because for her, she's helping her nation. She's serving her nation proudly, but she could stop this and go back home and be okay, fine. This is not something that she dreamt about her whole life. She's doing what was asked of her. I think it's very different the way Republican women and Democrat women approach power.
Right, that's true.
It's very different the way that we approach power. And for them, it's all encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
It's what they live, they breathe. And, you know, somebody check on Jazzy Crockett, make sure she's okay, right? They do it differently than we do. It's not our God. It's not. We have God to be our God. But for them, it's everything. And everything circles around it. Christi don't have that problem. So they can talk trash to her all they want to. She's going to tell you her version of the truth and stand on it.
Right? Yeah. Shelly, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so again, first of all, again, I think I said yesterday, Christi Noem, she's getting it from both sides, okay? She's getting it from both sides. So overall, the PR is just not good around her. I'm not saying that she's wrong or the other side is right. I'm just saying the PR is not good. Secondly, I wrote down, apparently it's not good because the administration did make some changes after that last shooting. Good, bad, or different, like it or not, they did respond to the public, I guess, outcry or public pressure. So they did make some changes. They put Tom Homan in there. So the point about this, I think that the whole thing with ICE, okay, polls, at least since January, February, you got several polls, YouGov, I think the Pew Research, Fox polls, other polls, they are showing that Americans are sort of 50-50 as far as supporting and disapproving of ICE, or at least the methods, the tactics, whatever the case may be. So no matter
get into that, we're going to
but no matter what, we do have this conundrum that we are in. Christi Noem, the fact that they were questioning her, particularly about the dogs. Look, she shot that dog. We talked about it when it happened. We didn't like it. We kind of made fun of it. They already knew that. So I don't even know why that's an issue. She was like she is before she came. Now, I think just in her role overall, I think she has executed well in her role. Do I think that everything that has been done has been well? No, but overall, I would give her, I guess, a B+, A-.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And this is next clip. Elisabeth Hasselback goes down the actual data of what she's done in her role. Take a look. This is 5B.
I love people. I think all lives matter to God. And we're in uncommon times, so we need to have uncommon sense about things like this. Yes, there will be mistakes made, but I think if Christi Noem were up for promotion right now and she put forward the statistics that 0 illegals released into the U.S. for 10 months straight have not crossed, okay? That nearly 3 million aliens have left the United States, that we have the lowest murder rate in 125 years, that fentanyl trafficking is down 56% at the border, and daily encounters have gone down 96%. Hang on one second. We need a strong border, especially now with our current global situation. And I believe that you may say you don't want border control and you're against ICE, but I actually don't believe you in your daily lives. How many people in the audience here had to go through security to get here? Raise your hand, just be honest. Otherwise you go to jail, I guess, for illegal trespassing, right? This is an authorized audience. They had to go through security to get through the border, to get right here, to just hear us talk. We need strong borders more than ever right now. We are being infiltrated.
But Elizabeth, can I give you
on the border when Renee Good and Alex Peretti were murdered, and death is not a mistake. That was a murder. No,
that was a murder.
Now let me finish.
As were those killed by illegal immigrants.
Let's not be dismissive about the fact.
I'm not dismissive. I just said all their lives matter.
That Secretary Noem is.
All right. So let's get into it. She read off Christi Noem's stats. She's done a very good job. I mean, you know, you can argue with her about classifying the Peretti and Good as a domestic terrorist or whatever, but when it comes to what matters, she's done a great job. Nicole, what are your thoughts on that exchange?
She's done an awesome job. And you can't argue with cold, hard facts. Well, they try all the time on the show. But what they don't bring is other facts. They bring emotion. What about these 2 people who were murdered? No, listen, people get shot by the cops when they're committing crime all the time, especially when you're trying to run a cop over with a damn SUV. What was supposed to happen? Was he supposed to jump out of the way like Superman, maybe catch a cloud, like, or have one of those Thor hammers and make everything go away, or yell?
It definitely was not
you
murder.
Know? Listen, here's the thing. When people get handled by the police, and it happens every day, every single day, it is what it is. And 9 times out of 10, you did something. You made an executive decision that earned you that one-on-one time with that law enforcement officer.
And remember, as you mentioned, Shelley, talk about looking at someone's past and their experience. It did come out, we all know now, that Peretti was something he done a lot.
Yeah. He was an absolute lunatic, but they didn't know that at the time.
Right.
He was being a lunatic in that moment.
Exactly.
But the thing I wanted to point out is the change that happened Tom Homan was brought into Minnesota, it had nothing to do with public outcry. It had everything to do with Tim Walz picking up the phone, calling the president of the United States. This is what governors are supposed to do when they're in trouble. When your state is in trouble, you need to call the big boys that can come in 10 minutes and fix your situation. We don't like her. We think she's overstepping. She's not kind. She's not friendly. We're Minnesota. We specialize in kind and friendly. Can you do something else? Sure. We'll send in Tom Homan.
Yeah.
Who's also not warm and fuzzy,
right.
but
oh gosh,
he comes with a much smaller scalpel instead of this big net. And that was the big difference. That worked in Minnesota, but they're coming to Maryland. They've already been here, but they're coming to Maryland in a much bigger way. And you want to talk about a big net.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So as far as, and let me make this again, I've said this many times. I try to be clear. I make the distinction between murder and killing in a lot of different ways. I have never said that, what's the name? Pretty and Good were murdered. I didn't say that. I said that it's problematic, not problematic only for the fact that they were shot, and killed, but problematic. There's some other things, maybe from the government side, legal issues. That's why I use the word problematic. Okay. So in these things will be played out in court, or in the court process. Mitigating circumstances will be paid attention to, if you will. That's number one. Number two, I'd slightly disagree with you, Nicole. Yes, Tom Homan did call President Trump, as he should have, as a governor. Tim Walz, I'm sorry, as a governor. But the public pressure, if you will, the PR did play a part in that. Now, Tim Walz and Frey, whatever his name, they had been up in the ante. They were revving up the people. Their power.
It's almost like a play.
But yes,
they're creating this atmosphere that have precipitated these types of outcomes with Freddie, what's good. And this is why what Elisabeth Hasselback said many years ago about the media. The media
whipping the frenzy.
Yes, they're whipping the frenzy, and they are so biased. They're creating situations and narratives that are making it very tough for President Trump to do what we voted for. What we called him in to do. Okay. So this is the problem that we're having. And so when they want outcomes like what happened to Freddie and with Good. I really believe that, because then they can use it as a way to push their agenda,
to energize their base.
Well, I want to plug what a shirt that I've worn and I bought. I say it all the time. Well, I've said it before. Not my saying. Marge Teray says, "Media, the most effective devil in America." The media, and this is why again I use the word problematic. Christi Noem, again, I like her overall. I think she's done a great job overall. But these are the things that will play a part in the trials, the investigations. All these factors will be considered. So therefore, again, I don't use murder, and I would not use murder. Murder has a specific category, and I try to use that word where it applies. But again, we cannot downplay the media's effect, and not only that, the public response, whether it's to media or not, but the public response, again, seems pretty split. And what it shows, what the media is definitely showing, is that many times we take sides just based on our party lines. And then over time, other things come out that may sway, particularly that independent group in the middle, one way or the other. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said these things are problematic.
Well, we're going to talk about that in this next clip. So they had actually addressed that. Elisabeth Hasselback addresses the idea of the media, of independence. Take a look. This is 5D.
Pushing back on what you're saying, I think the biggest thing Christi Noem has done is taken a very fair issue that's bipartisan, immigration and fixing the system, and she has trashed the impression, the actual act of it. 25% disapproved of ICE in 2024. Now 60%
because of the media.
No,
because of the media.
No.
Because of
but Elisabeth.
Murder.
No. What I would say is, as a woman, and you should be able to relate to this point, a man comes at me with a mask and a gun. I am taught instinctively to fight or flight. Like if someone knocks on my door in the middle of the night. So the way it's been carried out is the problematic part. People voted him in for immigration, and that was fair. And it had a lot of regular independents like me saying, you're right, we can't have everyone crossing the border. You're right, people that are violent criminals should leave, but that's not what he did here. And he's got people despising that.
I understand, and as a woman, I understand. I understand. I also believe that we have a God of borders. We have a nation of borders for good reason. I hate the fact that people are dying in this. My heart actually bleeds for this. It also bleeds for Laken Riley, Jocelyn Nungare, Rachel Moran, Matthew Dennis, Sarah Ruitt, Ivory Smith, all killed at the hands of illegal immigration. This needs a fix, but it needs a fix now. And let me tell you, this is tactical, practical. Yes, the how matters. Yes, it was done without a how during the Biden administration and Obama.
Okay, here's the thing.
She's made it worse.
So let's talk about that clip, because that clip was a perfect example of the way the media tries to steer the narrative. So we saw in the beginning of the clips we showed when I believe it was Sonny Hostin mentioned Renee Good and Preddy. What did they do? They showed their photos on the screen. Okay. But when we just saw Elisabeth Hasselback, she mentioned not all, but a lot of the most popular people who have been killed by illegals. They didn't post their pictures. We didn't see their pictures on there. This is what they have been doing all along. The media, the leftist media, which is mainstream media, they paint a narrative and then they rile up everyone according to that narrative. So we as conservatives, we're not only fighting for the truth, but we're fighting against a large mainstream industrial complex. And so when things happen, like what we saw happen to Preddy, to Renee Good, not only do they riled that whole thing up, they created the atmosphere for it, but then they paint the story a lie after it occurs. Nicole, what are your thoughts there?
I think a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
When she was mentioning the names and she was looking down to get all of her names right? They showed a quick picture of the other blonde woman. I don't know what her name is. Showed a quick picture of her face. And she had her face down and she was starting to pull at her eye. Right? You know what she wanted to say. Her body language is saying, oh, every time we say that, they bring these people up. Everybody sitting at that table looked like somebody had farted in the studio.
Yeah.
You know, for them, they don't care about the people who lost their lives. They have no care at all. What they're saying is, well, the how matters. Well, how the hell you think we're going to get them out?
And talk about how these are innocent people.
Right.
When you compare them to Preddy, to Renee Good, who were actually, I'm going to say, and I don't know, I'm speaking for myself, they were actively involved in their demise. Okay. They had no business being there. They did not follow directions of law enforcement. They were not innocent.
They were given lawful orders.
Exactly. Compared to people who were killed by these illegal immigrants. And all we hear about is Renee Good and Preddy.
Right. Well, we've said several times, we had a picture one time with all those victims.
Yeah.
We one time, I don't know if we can find that producers and show that just for since the View didn't show them. But again, not Renee Preddy, or what's her name?
Alex
Preddy,
Renee Good,
not them. So if you want to take the broad picture, right? Okay, you can say, like you're saying, they never showed that side. Let's just say all of them are victims for different reasons. And I do agree. Again, back to the problematic word. Preddy and Good, they played a part in the whole thing, in their demise, certainly. But Dakara Thompson, Rachel Moran, Jocelyn Ingray, Laken Riley, and many others. Okay, there's another one, Caitlin. I want to think her name, Caitlin. I can't think of her last name, Thompson. I want to say, but these people did not.
They don't even know their names.
They were victims, right? So every time, what the media, what it should do, if you want to quote unquote talk about fair and balanced, put up all the pictures, if you will. Put up all the pictures. At least be fair in that way. But what our response should be is that to tell the rest of the story, and then we can kind of move, if you will, move that just only, I'm going to agree with the Republican, I'm only going to agree with the Democrat. Tell the rest of the story in that independent middle, if you will, or that moderate middle. Again, I've been saying this more and more lately, will have a fuller picture, and they can make up their own mind, because I believe that most of the people in the middle are smart enough to make up their minds if they have the actual facts or the truth or the fuller picture, as much of the information as they can possibly have.
And this is why I personally believe that this makes me dig deeper into my own side. because you're not playing fair. Okay. The media has painted a narrative that is favorable to the left. You know, I don't, even if, let's say, this is why I don't, as a conservative, as just an American, I don't want to give them any leeway as far as like, so they're now saying, for instance, that Christi Noem was wrong for characterizing Preddy and Renee Good or in the same sentence as domestic terrorists. I don't care. I don't care.
I know that's right.
I don't, because you guys aren't playing fair. Okay, you guys are biased. So I'm not going to give you the leeway or the grace exactly of saying, oh, well, maybe she shouldn't have said that. No. I am done with that. You guys have gone too far, okay? You have created these situations in city upon city, because we don't see this in Florida. We don't see this in these cities that are cooperating with ICE. We only see it in the ones that are riling this up, okay? So no, I don't care what Christi Noem says. I'm looking at the data, I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm giving her an A++ on what she's doing as the Homeland Security Secretary.
Listen, I agree with you 100%. My big takeaway from this whole thing, whether you're independent, in the middle, or a Democrat, this has nothing to do with politics. This is all about the American homeland. We have been invaded, and no one can argue that fact. There are people here who have checkered past. We don't know because we have been invaded. They allowed people to come here. New York City is sitting on pins and needles now. They don't know about these sleeper cells. All of these people are scared to death. And you know why they're afraid? Because we have no idea who's here. We have no idea. And as an American citizen, that should scare the hell out of you.
Especially in a sanctuary city.
Listen, you should keep your head on a swivel. Yeah. Keep your head on a swivel, because we don't know. And that's not a political issue. That's an America issue. So when we talk about removing people who don't belong here, what people don't understand, they get letters that say, listen, we need you to leave. You've overstayed your visa, blah, blah, blah.
And sanctuary cities, they won't cooperate with these people.
No, I'm talking about the United States government reaches out to these people, to their last known, and say, please come in. We'll get you a ride home. You voluntarily leave. We'll send you a check in 6 weeks. You can start fresh. And a lot of people have. Guatemala has repatriated a whole town full of people, right? But with that said, the ones who won't go, the ones who continue to rape, pillage, and destroy, how do you think we're going to get them out of here? Now, I would love to see Joy do something other than sit there and pontificate. Girl, do something. Yeah. What are you going to do to save this nation? Or do you have to wait for this destruction to hit you personally?
Oh, get out! Get out!
Just
go!
Go visit Rosie.
I don't want to say these people. You had Dave Smith, who came out and said that the United States is a terrorist nation. Get the hell out. Go.
They had nowhere else to go.
Well, they have somewhere else to go. Go to these nations that you stand for. I mean, why are you here? We as Americans can go anywhere we want.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Nowhere else to go. They have nowhere else to go that is really not. That is, I mean, they don't. Yeah, they just.
Okay. I know. Folks, please sound off in the chat. Let us know what you think. We love Elisabeth Hasselback. She is standing in for Alyssa, who can stay. Let her take care of your child, your newborn, and stay wherever you are. Let Elisabeth Hasselback take your place, because she is a true conservative. She is the one that's fiery. She's intelligent. She's fact-checking these crows of The View, and we love it. They sound off in the chat. Let us know what you think.
They might actually get some viewers.
They might get Jasmine Crockett there. So
wouldn't that be something?
Oh, the loser.
Jasmine need a job.
Yeah. Well, you guys know, speaking of Jasmine Crockett, we did a live show last night going over the results of the primaries in North Carolina, Texas, and Arkansas. Go back and check that out. But Jasmine Crockett has conceded. She conceded this morning.
Yep.
The race. So we have James Tallarico as the Democrat senator. I want to ask you ladies very quickly, and you guys sound off in the chat. Do you think he's going to be a problem for the Republican?
Not for Cornyn. He won't be a problem for Cornyn. Paxton, I'd stay up late and watch it. But for Cornyn, if Cornyn is the Republican nominee, he will take him down without any issue.
What do you think, Shelley?
I don't know. Put it like this. I think it's going to be a tight race, period. Just because, again, these are midterms. I'm not too thrilled with how the Republicans in general, particularly in Congress, have not been acting as far as doing what I think they need to do to help shore up our win in November. So in that aspect, it's probably just going to be a close race.
Well, Nicole, I want to ask you, do you think Wesley Hunt is going to endorse one of them? And if so, who?
I don't think he'll endorse anyone. I think he will support whoever the nominee is because he's that guy. But we've not seen the last politically of Wesley Hunt. He's already talking about standing up another campaign.
Okay.
You know, it took him a couple of tries to get to the House, and he is absolutely a soldier. So he don't have any give up on him. That's just not who he is as a human being. So with that said, there was a point that I neglected to mention yesterday because I thought we would still have one left. Oh, they sent us a message. Production pops up this big message in the middle of the screen. But with the retirement announcement today of Burgess Owens, a Black Republican out of Utah, next term we won't have any Black Republicans in the House. Not one, because Daniel Cameron.
What about Byron Donalds?
Byron Donalds is running for the governor of Florida. So he'll, with God's help and the good voters in Florida, he'll be the governor of Florida. Burgess is retiring. West lost his seat, or he surrendered his seat to run for Senate. And John James is running for governor of Michigan. So they're bumping up, make no mistake, but it leaves a bit of a vacuum. So you'll see me working a little bit harder to replace them. To get some people back in our caucus. It's important to me for people to understand that why that's important. It's not, me saying, well, we need at least 4 Black people, in there, but we do need people to be standard bearers for the Black conservative community, right? Now, we do have some pull. We get to go to places and bend some ears, but it's different when there's somebody there consistently to bend those ears for what our particular community needs to move forward.
All right, folks, sound off in the chat. Let us know what you think. Moving right along. So speaking of Congress, we got to talk about Tim Walz being questioned in Congress today regarding the misuse of funds in DHS. Take a look. This is clip 6.
It was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2017, Governor.
I don't have those numbers in front of me, Congresswoman.
Did you prepare for this hearing today? Did you do any preparation
I take
for this
Congress
hearing today?
seriously.
And you've seen the numbers about autism fraud in Minnesota. So we're going to do some Minnesota math with you today, okay? Are you ready?
Running for
How much money was spent on 2017 for autism in Minnesota? How much?
I don't know. I wasn't the governor.
Okay.
No, not North.
Did you not just say that you prepared for this hearing today? $1 million, okay? A quick Google search or using your AI could tell you $1 million was spent. How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2024?
I don't have the number in front of me. As
Were you governor in 2024?
He's a jerk.
I was, but I'm not the
Okay,
head
so
of
your
HHS.
excuse before that you didn't know what 2017 autism numbers were because you were not governor, and today you can't answer the numbers about 2024 as governor, and you still said you prepared for this hearing today. It's unbelievable. $343 million was spent in 2024. What percent increase is that from 1 million to 343 million? What percentage increase is that?
I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell me.
Are you governor of Minnesota or not?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, when I'm governor of South Carolina, you can sure as hell bet that I'm going to know the math. The math is 34,200% increase, an increase of 343 times what it was in this time period. Do you know the number of children in Minnesota?
I know that Minnesota ranked as a top 3 state for
What
children.
is the total population in Minnesota?
Like, don't know nothing.
Okay. What is the total population of children in Minnesota?
I don't have the number in front of me right now.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
I know 400,000 were cut out of health care last week by the actions you made.
All Colonel Sanders knows about
Are you
chicken.
governor of Minnesota?
He's governor of Colonel Sanders chicken.
And you don't know the number of children residing in Minnesota?
Specific number.
Eat them up, Nance. Eat them up.
Oh, wow, folks. I mean, I just got goosebumps. I got warm all over just watching that. I mean, She ripped him. Shelly, what are your thoughts?
Okay, first of all, he needs a haircut. he needs a haircut. I don't know if something's on my shirt here or not, but he needs a haircut. I'm sick of them little pieces sticking up where the bald is. Just trim
the eyebrows.
Just trim the eyebrows, trim the hair, and that's number one. Number two, you mean to tell me he had no staff behind him that would kind of give him the paperwork? Well, they do. They typically bring assistants or whomever that has that data in their binders where they can just, take a minute. Let me grab whatever. I mean, that's just so unprepared. But to his response, I'm not going to be your prop. I loved it because I probably would have said something like that to Nancy Mace because she kept going on and on. Just make your point. We get it. When you cooked him enough.
Ask all the questions like,
that's number
one. This? Do you know?
But my biggest point is this. My biggest point is this. The fraud in Minnesota is off the charts. But I'm going to remind you, okay? Minnesota is just one state. This fraud is rampant across the country. And again, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. In particular, government programs, namely, and agencies, the SSA, Social Security, SBA, Medicare, Medicaid, the Department of Defense, Department of Transportation. These programs are rampant with fraud. Fraud is the industry I think that the government runs on, and they use taxpayer money to fuel it, if you will, to fund the fraud. We need to cut these programs. We don't need over 100-something programs that's doing the same thing. And again, you qualify for one, you qualify for all. This needs to be cut. Minnesota is just the poster child. But don't forget, do not be mistaken. It is rampant across the country.
Yeah. Nicole,
listen, I'm just going to say, a prominent Maryland Democrat said, if it's not illegal, then it's appropriate.
There you go. He did say that.
He did. So what did Brandon that with a straight face? I was sitting there listening. I was like, what did he say? Oh my God.
I missed that.
Oh, girl. We should put it on a t-shirt. Listen, if I, God forbid, knock wood, if I ever get hemmed up in some crime, I'm going to repeat that. I want to be like, listen, it's not illegal, then it's not inappropriate.
Well, folks, we'll talk about inappropriate. Federal prosecutors estimate total losses could top $9 billion with a B dollars across multiple programs in Minnesota, making it one of the biggest welfare frauds in U.S. history. Most defendants, and I'm talking about 78 out of 86 cases, are of Somali ancestry, with funds allegedly funding luxury cars, villas, kickbacks, and even overseas to groups like Al-Shabaab. I mean, the list goes on. We're talking about feeding our future, Medicaid housing stabilization, child care assistance programs, and other scams, particularly the autism fraud. Okay, so Walz's administration, they claim they're victims too, but audits show they ignored red flags, sued to keep shady nonprofits in play, and prioritize equity over accountability. Take a look here. This is clip 7.
Who, again, has stated that she is a Democrat. She's only ever voted Democrat. Says that
doesn't
she was
matter whether
subjected
she's
to, quote,
Democrat or
a
Republican.
smear campaign for trying to make leadership aware of illegal contracting practices. Why do you think that happened?
I can't speak to that, Congressman, because we don't do it.
You just don't. You don't know anything.
I do know that we don't. We have strong whistleblower protections, and I can't speak.
That's not what the whistleblowers are saying. According to another report, quote, "There's just a continuous effort to stifle you, to shut you up, and it's impossible to overcome." Your administration's response to whistleblowers has also been described as, quote, "nearly unbearable retaliation." We've heard claims that, quote, they've been denied vacations, promotions, and that it's hurt people's careers to speak out against fraud. Do you think that had something to do with the prevalence of fraud in your administration?
I can't speak to it, but
are you going to take responsibility for this?
I supervise 40,000 employees. State agencies
you
have their own.
You supervise a lot of employees, and as you have said, the buck stops with you. And your administration has treated whistleblowers like absolute dirt, and that's a big reason why we've seen so much of our hard-earned tax dollars defrauded.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Congressman Brandon Gill. Superman.
I was like, what song is that?
Baby Superman.
Oh, man, I love that man. Woo, I love him. I love him. He is always on point. His questions, they aren't looked upon, or at least for me, they don't look like he's looking for any type of sensationalism. He's really he's getting them on the points. He provides data, provides facts. I love him. Shelley, what are your thoughts on that exchange?
I wanted to mention something. You mentioned the $9 billion in Minnesota. Well, hear this. The estimates, and this is from the Government Accountability Office, they estimate government fraud in general, again, across the board, with many of the programs that I mentioned, plus more, $233 billion, upwards to more than $500 billion. That's more than $500 and plus billion dollars. So again, the dollars just keep cha-chinging in the wrong direction. Our taxpayer money. And don't forget, I got to remind you all, April 15th is coming. Give me my money back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree. Listen, I think the way that Brandon Gill asks questions leaves no room for interpretation. Mm-hmm. I also believe that Tim Walz purposely came unprepared.
Oh, yeah. Why?
Purposely. Well, because like Shelley said, you usually come with your team, and there are lawyers and people, and you have a little binder and you got your note card so you can stay on point. But I think for him, it was more important to have people feel than for people to know. This is the Democrat playbook. When the facts aren't on your side, you need people to feel something, something. Well, I know that 400,000 kids were kicked off of Medicaid last week, blah, 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 because of the administration. He's trying to get you to emote something. But Nancy Mace asked him, well, how many damn kids in your state? You're the governor and you don't know how many children reside in your state? Are you the governor of your state? And she's absolutely right. But he did that intentionally because when the facts don't fit for them, this is what they do. This is their political playbook. They make you feel some kind of way. They bring something up that, harkens some kind of spirit in you. What Brandon Gill does much more successfully, in my humble opinion, than Nancy Mace, is he doesn't allow them to answer the questions about the facts. He gives them the facts and then asks the question, right? So he's not giving them any wiggle room. And even with that, Tampon Tim was still lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
Folks, as you come in, hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and we appreciate the support. Also, subscribe, join us. We are a community of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. Also, what are you waiting for? This is where it's at, folks. We're trying to grow this community. We want to hit 250,000 subscribers. We need your help. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and join us. All right, so we are not done here. Speaking of what you said, Nicole, talking about how these Democrats always try to use emotionalism, always are fuzzy on the facts. Take a look at this next clip. This is a CNN panel, and the Democrat on the panel she just bold-faced lied. She's a deranged liberal and went on CNN to claim President Trump stood at the State of the Union and said the Democrats are evil monsters who should be killed. Take a look. This is clip 8.
I'm called a domestic terrorist constantly by my government. My president just stood at the State of the Union and said the Democrats are evil monsters who should be killed. If that person...
No. The president did not say that. Wait a minute.
Okay,
you have to be accurate.
He said, I will be accurate. Okay, Tim,
for anyone to be killed.
Tim,
I'm sorry. That's
Tim, I will be accurate.
Yeah, the president never called for anyone to be killed.
Okay.
I just want you to be honest. I like you way too much to let you be that wrong.
Let me give her... Okay, Tim,
my point
let's give her an opportunity to correct what she said.
The American government is already...
He did
not say he said we were the enemy and we were terrible. Would you say that is fair?
I think he did say, he looked at the Democrats and said, these people are crazy, but Lee,
he said
I like
they should be ashamed of yourself.
I like you far too much to let you be that wrong.
Right,
you cannot say the President of the United States called for
correct. I was being hyperbolic and I apologize.
Well, you have to be accurate, not hyperbolic.
Wow. Why didn't Abby Phillips take a larger step in that? Why didn't she take a bigger part in correcting her? It's her panel. Why not say, wait a minute, that's a lie, okay? Here's what he said. She did not do any of that. No, instead she corrects the Republican on there. Okay, and then she gives the liberal lady, she gives her sort of like a way out. Says, okay, wait, let her correct her. Not even said she didn't say correct herself, but she should have. It was a bold-faced lie.
Let her correct it.
Yeah, that's not right.
It's absolutely not right, but this is CNN. James Earl Jones is rolling in his grave just listening to this foolishness. But I will say this. Shout out. Remember, we talked about the demeanor that you have to be a talking head, a conservative talking head on this. Shout out to Tim.
Yeah.
Tim handled that incredibly well.
He did.
You know, I can't tell you how much this speaks to who he is as a human being. Because what he didn't say is, Trump is right, you are crazy. What he said is, I like you too much to let you be that wrong on national TV. You know, if that's not a backhanded compliment, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
He played that perfectly, absolutely perfectly. And he called her out because Trump never said such.
Right.
He never said such.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, not much more can be said. The only thing I would say is someone put a comment, you're not supposed to be hyperbolic. Well, then I agree. Especially when you're quoting someone. If you're going to quote someone, then quote what they actually said and then give your opinion about it. And if your opinion wants to be hyperbolic or whatever, that's a different story. But you're right. He did handle her very well. And I honestly believe that had he not said something, I don't think Abby would have
kept going.
No.
They would have kept going for sure.
It's disgraceful. And this is exactly what we're talking about, folks. As conservatives, we are not just up against the Democrats. We're up against a whole industrial media complex. This is what I'm talking about. This is why we need your help, folks. Hit that like button, subscribe, and if you have it in your heart, to super chat. This keeps us online. We do this as a labor of love. We want to grow the community. We want to bring you guys the facts. We need your help and your support. Hit that like button, and your super chats go a long way in keeping us online.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to change gears a little bit here and talk about a tragic story that has gone viral. To Miami. Actually, do we have some super chats here, Shelly?
Let's see. Producer? I'm waiting on you. Okay, I think we have Carolyn Cherry there. She says, I wore my friends. I wore my friends don't let friends vote Democrats to vote in 2024. A lady in line said, ma'am, I don't think you can vote in that. I said, they better, or else I'm voting in my bra. Good for you, Carolyn. That sounds like something I would say. I remember I wore my MAGA hat and whatever, Trump hat. Sure did. They tried to tell me that too. And I said, no. You can't wear it because you're working the polls. I'm a voter. I can come in and wear it. Thank you very much. Moving right on. Fur Baby, thank you for your $5 super stickers. Thank you for your support. And I thought we had one more, but I guess we don't. Okay, we're moving right. Oh, Krista something. I'm sorry, $2 your $2 super chat. Can I have the links for your Discord? Yes, I think our producer is going to put that in there. And thank you very much for your support. Hit the like, share, and subscribe, everybody. Look, it's March the 4th, first of the month. Come on, pay your bills. Like, share, and subscribe. Keep doing that. Keep doing that if you have not done so already.
Look, pinch your bills and buy yourself a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm absolutely joking.
All right. So we got to get onto this. This is a tragic story, folks. So 2 Miami preteens charged as adults in a horrific 30-minute assault of a 12-year-old girl. Take a look. This is clip 9.
Community garden on a June evening became the scene of a horrific crime at the hands of.
So you're 12 years old? You're 13 years old?
2 middle school aged boys.
We have a grand jury indictment charging.
Now facing serious charges to include kidnapping as adults accused of a violent act of sexual battery. The 12-year-old victim telling police as she was leaving her friend's house, 13-year-old Nelson Nunez grabbed her, forcing her onto a couch in a community garden. Another boy restrained her, she said, and as 12-year-old Josiah Jones put rocks in her mouth to stop her from screaming. Nunez, she said, raped her. The co-defendants only stopping about 30 minutes later when they heard her father calling out her name.
And just minutes ago, we learned from the Miami State Attorney's Office that there is a third co-defendant, a 15-year-old by the name of Xavier Tyson, who is also facing the charges in connection that he has to this incident as an adult. And those include felonies of lewd and lascivious, as well as false imprisonment.
My God. All right. And it doesn't get any better, folks. So the father of one of the alleged assailants came out and spoke to the media. Take a look. This is clip 10.
The 12-year-old boy we're talking about, we're going to leave him in jail and put a life charge on a young man, a young black man that was visiting Miami. It was with the wrong 2 kids.
Marvin Jones's son, Josiah, is charged with battery and false imprisonment, charges related to the rape of a 12-year-old girl. A police report says the victim says his son, Josiah, held her down and put rocks in her mouth to stop her from screaming.
All right, so let's unpack this. 2 things I want to ask you, Shelley. One, how did we get here when we're talking about 12 and 13-year-olds sexually assaulting a young girl? And then 2, the response of the dad. Where did that come from?
So I think we've gotten here, number one, because young people, again, 1 or 2 generations, basically have not been taught morality, right from wrong, fear of God, certainly. I think they have not been taught that. They've been allowed to maybe raise themselves, do what they want. Again, I gotta bring me some bubble wrap in here for emphasis. Bubble wrapped by their parents. No one can correct them. You know, they do no wrong. Again, expand that however you want. That's number one. Number 2, I want to just not so much correct what you said, KJ, but I want to correct what you said for emphasis. You said sexual assault. No. Right now they're saying battery, which is a lesser felony. If you will, we talked earlier about how these things are already built into our law. And again, they send alleged because these boys or whatever may or may not have done it, or they haven't gone to court yet. But this is even more than battery. It's more than sexual assault. It sounds like rape to me. And it sounds like they have witnesses and evidence to corroborate the fact that it's rape, which should be a higher felony or certainly a higher charge. So maybe the prosecution team is building up the charges, which they tend to do, which is fine. But the father or whoever his response, again, the same thing. This is why the children don't have the teachings that they should have when you have this father on. At the very least, if that was my child or a relative, somebody I knew, if I was asked, number one, I tell them, don't ask me, get out my face, number one. But number 2, at the very least, I would say something to the effect of, I'm sorry for what that victim may be going through. Let's play it out in court. I mean, something like that. Something like that, very neutral, whatever. But of course, parents are going to protect or they love their children. I get that. As a parent, we understand that. But then you get on TV and you don't even acknowledge that your son or nephew, whoever the other boy was, that your son had a part. And I'm using part very loosely here. You don't even acknowledge that. You immediately take this young black boy. Hell freaking yes, they should have the books thrown at them. Hell freaking yes, they should have life in prison or certainly a long prison term since they're 12. Hell freaking yes, they raped allegedly a girl. They put rocks in her mouth allegedly, which tells me that there was some forethought and planning. And it also tells me, if I want to go down this rabbit hole, they probably have done it before, in my never to be humble opinion.
Nicole, what are your thoughts?
So I talked about this story with someone that I loved last night. And being who I am, I got the police report. Oh, let me tell you, the feelings were high because we do have a history of women saying a man did something to them and the man goes to jail. And then 30 years later, she's like, well, he really didn't do anything to me. I made it up. There is that history. So credit for that, right? But we also have a history of women being assaulted and not saying a thing for fear that their lives will be, cooked over an open flame. But none of that actually applies to this particular case. The charges that they were charged with are based on Florida law. Florida's law has age brackets on what you can call things. And they do that to protect children, right? So the victim was 12 years old. The perpetrator at the time alleged perpetrator was 12 years old. He's 13 now, but he was 12 at the time. So between 12 and 15, they can't call it rape. They call it something else. The penalty is a little bit different because, again, we talked about this, how the law
has those things already built in.
So that, this is not a thing where, just like, oh, well, he's a poor black boy, so blah, blah, blah. So they took this evidence that they have to a grand jury. The grand jury brought back an indictment on all 3 young men. All 3. And let me tell you why, because I was skeptical. I was like, right, until I read the report. The little girl says, the young girl, the 12-year-old, says that she was walking home from a friend's house. And as she was walking home, she ran into someone that she knows, one of the young men, the other 12-year-old. And, they were talking and they were giving her, quote unquote, wedgies. So they were pulling her shorts up into her butt. And she was like, stop,
I've done that. I've been there. Yeah.
Boys do stuff
at a young age. Yeah.
I've seen girls give each other wedgies or atomic wedgies for boys. I mean, that's just something that the kids do, right? Well, it got to a point where the other 2 boys were restraining her. So as they were walking through the community garden, they pulled her over to this sofa that had been left in the community garden and restrained her and held her down. So the one young man, the one that's charged for the sexual penetration, is the way they describe it in here. He pulled her pants down, pulled her panties down, and put his penis in her vagina and began to have intercourse with her. She started to scream. She was screaming, "Stop, no, it hurts, get off of me," all of these things. One of the young men who was holding her down filled up her mouth with rocks so she couldn't be heard screaming. And continued to hold her down. While they were touching her, they were lifting up her bra and all this other stuff, But all of this horror, 30 minutes of horror. Meanwhile, she's still making noises. Another young man walks by, but he's scared to say anything because he doesn't want to get beat up, right? So what happens is a woman is going to go get her mail, and she hears the commotion of this girl, screaming and all this kerfluffle, and she's like, "What y'all doing out here? This and this and this and this." All of this gives them witnesses to the crime. The rocks, this young girl's physical injuries, and oh, by the way, the statements of the perpetrators. Because like little boys, they started flipping on each other.
Absolutely.
This is what little boys do. Like I said, I got 19 nephews. If I want to find out what one of them other ones is doing, I grill the other person. And I mean, toasty on both sides, and they'll tell everything they know. Little boys aren't as tough as they put up. And the police have recorded statements in front of their parents of what happened. The young man who sexually assaulted her actually texted her and said, "I'm sorry," when he discovered that the police were on the way to his house, because all the neighbors were like, "The cops is coming for you. The cops are coming for you." Well, one young man, Xavier, his family gets him the hell out of Florida, thinking that him running is going to save him from the very long arm of the law. It will not. It will not. There's a lot that happened here that reads like children behaving badly, but there's a lot in here that reads like predators preying on people. And we cannot have that in our culture, in our society. 12 years old is a very young age. And some of the things they said to one another sounds like 12-year-olds talking to one another, especially 12-year-olds boys. He said, "Are you going to do this?" He was like, "What?" He's like, "You going to put it in her?" Right? He was like, "Yeah," and then jumps on this girl and she's screaming, "Get the hell off of me." She's screaming. He did not connect the dots mentally. Not the guy who was raping him, because he connected his dots, but the 2 kids who were holding her down. And they were afraid to let go because they didn't want to get beat up. They didn't want to get talked about, blah, 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 blah. But you're committing a felony against this girl who's going to have to live with this horror for her entire life. She's never going to feel safe again. Thank God that her father and this nosy neighbor was looking for her. Her father's screaming her name, and that's the only reason why they took off. So the little girl goes through the gate. She's pulling up her shorts, trying to get her string together, and she's horrified, right? She's got the look on her face. So the lady asked her, "What happened to you?" And she's just like trying to walk toward her father. Then the little boys start coming through the gate one at a time, and she could see it on their faces. So she had her son, the nosy neighbor, had her son text one of the boys, "What happened?" And he said, "Well, it's not what your mom thinks, da 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 da." And as more as he texted him, the little boy came clean. And that's when she was like, "Oh, the police need to talk to you. The police need to talk to you."
Folks, one, This is what happens in society when we do not hold sacred sexual intercourse. I know this was rape, but beyond all of that, we stopped teaching the idea that you should wait until marriage. Now we have this situation where girls are over sexualized. They're given condoms. They're put on birth control at young ages. And we do not hold sacred the idea of sexual intercourse. You should wait until you're married. That's what we used to do. Okay, that was the majority back in the day. Now the majority is put them on Depo-Vera or birth control and let the cards fall where they may. We have gone so far off the deep end with this type of stuff that these boys don't hold sacred. The girls don't treasure their virginity. The boys think it's okay. They're supposed to do this type of stuff, not rape, but I'm talking about sexual intercourse. And just at that, because what we're about to show you is what the aunt said, the aunt of one of these boys. We take in society, it's just everything is sexualized and we don't hold anything sacred anymore. And it's led us down a dark road, folks. It really has. Take a look here. This is one of the boys' aunts. And she's actually defending this behavior. This is clip 12.
Sean Duran, he don't give a fuck. He savage. So he like, shit, you been talking about you wanted to do this to me. You finna, do me like this. So I guess he got aggressive with her and she was like, oh no, I'm not finna do that. I'm not finna sleep with all of y'all. I'm only sleeping with him. So I guess whatever happened, while they was running the train on her, the lady who stayed upstairs must have on her way down to check her mail or, you get what I'm saying, drop her garbage or whatever. She seen them because how the building is made where the lady who seen the kids is like right there and the farm is right there. So you can look over her balcony and see everything was going on in the farm. So I guess she spotted them. So in the mix of her spotted them, she like, what y'all doing in there? So that's when she want to yell, y'all stop. But she went home. She never told her mama anything. Going on 2 days. She never told her mama anything. When the lady came to find out who daughter it was, she went and told the stepdaddy. So when the lady told the stepdaddy, that's when the little girl want to tell her mama. They dragged her from the park. They took her there and they raped her. I ain't justifying nothing. Let me tell you something. I ain't finna sit here and read y'all comment. I got on here to check her. If you gonna tell a story the right way. Don't get on here trying to make it seem like my nephew on a run or for none of that. Because if he get direct 5-2, he already got a lawyer. But I know at the end of the day, your daughter ain't telling the truth. Your daughter only pressed the charges because you forcing her to press charges. Your daughter was never a virgin before she got touched.
Trash. She's gutter trash. And this is where you see these are the adults. And she's gutter trash.
And she's absolutely lying. Definitively lying. The only part she got right was the older woman came downstairs to check her mail. That's the part that she got right. So I'm assuming since she wasn't there and apparently has not read the police reports. So what's happening here? And this is, the victim is a 12-year-old female. The defendant is a 12-year-old male. The victim and the defendant were acquaintances, right? They knew each other. On Thursday, June 19, at approximately 14:41 hours, Officer Cow, we're not going to give all of his full name and that kind of thing, contacted the investigator on a landline phone about a possible sexual battery incident. He stated that he was flagged down at this particular neighborhood. A witness advised him that her neighbor, the 12-year-old victim, was possibly sexually assaulted by 4 male juveniles the day before.
And that was last year, right? 2024, I think it was.
2025, June 18, 2025, right? So then the police report goes on to archive all the statements from all the witnesses. And they put them on body cam and talked to them and said, how did you know this? And the quote unquote nosy neighbor, who I absolutely love her. I love her for being the neighborhood watch and the truth teller in the situation, had her son text the young man who did the raping.
So this is my question, or not my question, my thoughts about this. Number one, like you said, Florida, as do many states, they have different categories because they were all the same age, or whatever the timeline is. Because they were all the same age, they probably may not be able to charge them because they're in the same age. So a sexual assault and or rape usually in many cases has to be an age limit, an age difference. That's what I'm sorry. So that may be why I'm thinking about what I said earlier. That may be why they haven't charged them, or they may not charge them with rape. Now, however,
I don't understand. So what are you saying?
So typically, like in Maryland, there has to be a 4-year age difference
before you can be said you raped somebody.
Because if you're within the 4 years, let's say a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old, may or may not always be sexual assault. It depends on it's 4 years or more. It could be charged as rape, or depending on the circumstances.
Wait. So you're saying that if a 12-year-old says that she
13 or above in Maryland,
13-year-old says that she was forced to have intercourse, which is rape,
right?
It can't be charged as rape.
It depends on the circumstances. Not always automatically is that. That's what I'm saying. Just if it's within 4 years, again, it depends on the circumstances. So that's why I'm saying they may not have charged them with rape at least yet.
So maybe. Well, they're finished charging them because they've all been indicted.
Wait, this is my other point though. So when the rocks in the mouth, or according to the statement, I would think that could be maybe charged with attempted murder, right? I'm hearing what you're saying, but of course, because they're 12, they may not be able to in Florida. I don't know all the different particulars, but so outside of that, or within that, whatever the case may be, you mentioned something about teaching the sex inside of marriage. I don't really think this has anything to do with that necessarily. And I'm not saying that's not a good point. And I'm saying that because rape has been with us since time began, okay? Whether the girl was a virgin or not does not mean that she could not have been raped.
No, I'm not talking about the girl. I was talking about the boys, because you had ones that were looking in on this. So yes, you know, there's some deviancy there as far as on the boys' part. But what I'm saying is we are not told, boys and girls. I wasn't talking about the girls per se. I'm talking about the boys. We are not told, it's particularly boys, are told that they should wait until marriage. Boys are generally, even now they may tell girls to wait, but boys, people should say, oh, well, you can, have sex with as many girls as you like, because boys are the hunters, as people say, and they're supposed to, have sex with as many girls as they like until marriage. No, the Bible says particularly we are supposed to wait until marriage. And I think one of the biggest issues now in society is that nobody's even starting there anymore. It used to be back in the day, we would at least start there, but now they're not even starting there. They're saying, okay, well, I don't think it's realistic to say wait until marriage. I'm going to teach my child, or I'm going to teach this young people about condoms, about birth control. That's where we begin. No, sexual intercourse is sacred. It's not something you shouldn't be pulling your penis out on any and everybody. This is sacred. And so I don't think that's taught enough. I don't think that's talked about enough.
Well, I will say this, KJ, if you guys have time, go and watch the full video of what the aunt says, because she says exactly what you were saying, that her nephew's 12, and she was like, oh, they was pulling a train on her.
That's what I'm talking about, the train idea.
She says there are plenty of little fast girls. Why y'all all chasing the same piece of tail? I mean, like, her mentality.
This is the mentality now.
And she says, my nephew ain't running. Here's his court date and his attorney. Like, that's a point of pride. He ain't got to have a public defender. I'm paying this and that. But back to your point, Shelley, about how the crime is statutes are broken down. Florida statute 800.08, victims under 12, it's a life felony. That's life in prison, 25-year mandatory minimum. 12 to 15.
So they
is a second degree felony, up to 15 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. If the offender is under 18, then they have a different class for that.
That's how it is in Maryland. Maryland, there's a 4-year age difference. So there has to be a 4-year, again, starting with 13 and above. 12 and under is a different category, if you will. But the 4-year age difference, 13 to, I want to say 18, 17 in Maryland. But that 4-year age difference, it could make the difference in the way the charges are.
Well, the people are saying that, the question on this case that people are asking, or people are debating, is whether or not they should be charged as adults. What are your thoughts there, Nicole?
So I think, I know Florida law, when the prosecutor presented the case, if the grand jury comes back and indicts them, it's a wrap. It's automatic. And in Florida, once they deem you as an adult, you're an adult from that point forward. So let's say, God forbid, one of these young men walk away from this, right? They've already been deemed an adult. Say the next day they're walking down the street and they mug a woman.
So they have an adult.
They're getting adult time. They're no longer considered children once the state of Florida says you're adult enough to commit crime. You're going to be an adult crime committer moving forward. So they didn't lean in and say, we're going to charge them as an adult. The people on the grand jury took a look at the evidence, and it is a lot of evidence. This is not kids playing doctor. This is not what that was at all by any stretch of the imagination. The only point that I think that caught my eye was when you hear what they were saying, the direct quotes that these young men were talking to each other. They sound like children. They have children thought processes, but only in little tiny glimmers. And from a community standpoint, because this story is writing itself, we don't have to continue with this particular story. But from a community standpoint, one, we do need to learn to value people. And I think what these young men were missing was the respect factor. What the father's statement was missing was the respect factor. The respect for other human life has left our culture in a very fancy kind of way. We hear it in our music, all of our TV shows, people who are addicted to watching true crime, who killed this person, this and that. We've desensitized ourselves to human pain and suffering. And then add in the godlessness to that. And it's a terrible mix. What this is for this particular community is Overtown in Miami, where they have 100% times the national crime statistics. 100% times. So this is a rough and tough kind of place. We have to take ways of how to teach children to respect other people.
Period.
And that's the long and short of this. So what are they going to do? Well, this neighborhood is being gentrified, like most of Miami is being gentrified. But these children need help.
See, that's the part I was thinking about, because I thought we were going
what did you think about
No, because there's a whole discussion nationally, certainly here in Baltimore. What do we do with these juveniles? What do we do with these juveniles? And I'm at the point now where all of these wraparound services, they don't do a bit of good on the whole. Maybe an individual here and there, but we can get rid of all that. I say particularly, and again, I keep the distinction between the violent crimes. They need to be locked up. The violent crimes. If these boys are convicted of this particular crime, battery, rape, whatever it is, however.
And do you think they should be charged as adults?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you look around the world and historically, even biblically, adult age starts way younger than we like to say for our children. It starts, we like to say they're adults at 18, 21, 25, their brain is not developed. Well, historically, and in most countries around the world outside of us, America or Western civilization, adulthood, children are held accountable at around 12 or 13 years of age. So I think if this, again, juveniles, I'm not going to say that in this particular case, I would not advocate the death penalty for them, no. But certainly a long time charged as adults, a long time in jail. I don't care if they're black, blue, white. Remember, I'm racist, so I don't care. Whatever, I'm racist, yes. But that doesn't matter to me. And then the parents and that father, I don't know. I used to be against forced sterilization. I may or may not be anymore because I mean, you know, forced vasectomies. I mean, some people, I know it. Yes, the babies are cute, they snotty nose, they're brats, all that stuff. But at some point, enough is enough. I don't want certain people. I don't want you breeding.
You know, to me, what you said was a good point. I mean, when it comes to sexual assault, I think if you've done it more than once, the second time you need your balls cut. You need your dick snipped.
But here's the thing. They would continue to rape because rape is not about sex.
Oh,
rape is about power.
So what they gonna do when they trying?
They get a stick.
Well, they can use something else. You can penetrate with other instruments.
They will penetrate them because it's not about the sexual gratification. It's about the overcoming another human being, forcing them to do what you.
And rape is not always vaginal either. So
exactly, and that's why
you don't have a penis. What you doing?
You can use another.
You can use your hand.
So you're saying it's about them penetrating whatever. It's not about them getting.
But it's about basically, like you said, we're not teaching
that.
We're not teaching children again. But I forget the psychiatrist. He said it's called vitamin N. No, we're not teaching children those boundaries. They don't know, or they don't know, haven't been taught. No, when somebody says no, don't touch me, don't do this. Boys, girls, whatever the case may be, the boundaries, the moral training has not been instilled. That takes place. It doesn't start at 15. Okay,
12,
you got to do it when they're young. When they're, again, my child, nieces and nephews, when they are 1. They hit me, I hit them back. Okay, they bite me, I bite them back. Now, I might not make the skin break, okay, but I want them to get the point.
So, folks, you hear this?
That's right.
Shelly's out here biting 2-year-olds.
That's right. But the point I'm making is, if you can hit, and I do it. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't abuse children, of course, I can't. But the point is that you're setting up boundaries. I don't care, KJ. You can look like that all you want. If a 2-year-old bites me, I will bite their little fingers back. I don't break blood, but break the skin. But I want to
get it. I get it.
Okay.
Honestly, it goes back to me. We just gotta teach respect. We gotta teach morals. We gotta teach the sanctity of the body. As women, as men, we have to teach that. You know, folks, they don't teach this stuff in school anymore. I was talking to a teenager the other day. He didn't even know really all the ways you could get HIV. Okay. I mean, they are not going into this like they did when we were young. And I'm talking about in the 80s and 90s. They just are not. Okay. No. And they need to.
It should never have been taught in school. It was always taught in the home initially.
Right.
Oh, no. I think they need to teach it. I think they need to teach the idea of procreation in school.
Okay.
What it looks like, what a baby in utero and all of that. I think they need to teach that. And I also think they need to teach about STDs. I think they need to teach about the ramifications of HIV, of herpes. I also need to think they need to teach about the case count in areas where you live. Right now, the DMV has more HIV and herpes cases than sub-Saharan Africa.
And it has for a while.
Yeah. So they need to tell these students that, particularly in high school, you need to know that HIV can be transmitted, not just with intravenous drugs, but also through intercourse. These things need to be taught, and they need to be taught over and over again. I think it needs to be something that needs to be taught every year of high school. Because believe me, I remember when I was young, I never forget it. My mother took me to a course at Howard University. I will never forget it. And it was on HIV. And I remember sitting in that auditorium, and it was this fine young man up on the stage, and he was talking, and I was like, oh my God, he's so cute.
I think I know you're talking about.
And he had HIV, and he was talking about how he got it. And that scared me straight. Okay. They don't do it enough nowadays. They don't do it enough.
I think in some ways, some cases, to your point, I understand your point. I think in some cases it's oversaturated to the point where it becomes, like you said, we kind of we're numb to it.
No, nowadays they teach you, oh, well, it's no big deal. You got an HIV. You can just take a pill.
Well, that's what I mean. Right. Yeah, that part. So, so they don't.
It's a manageable disease.
Yeah.
Diabetes, right? But here's the problem with this, KJ. What if you're born to idiots, right? What if your parents are absolute dumbasses?
That's why I said they teach it in school.
Well, you want to learn this from the purple-haired furry that's your so this is what I mean by community standards, right? Community standards. There has to be a community standard. And in your particular community, you have got to be the person, right? Everybody wants this other person to do it, that other person to do it. No, you do it. It's not enough just to live in your community. You have to actively participate in making your community great. That's how America becomes great, not from the president down, but from the people up. That's how you do this. Like your mother didn't wait for your school system to teach you. She packed you up and dragged you to DC so you could get the education that she wanted you to have.
Yeah.
Now I was a different kind of parent because I have a daughter. She would have her little friends over and she had guy friends and girlfriends. And I would, on the TV, I would pop up pictures of herpes blisters, a good cauliflower.
Oh yeah, cauliflower formation.
And by the time they stopped spitting up, they were like, what the hell was that? This is what happens when you don't protect yourself. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm worth way more than a roll in the back seat in a McDonald's Happy Meal. I don't know about y'all. I don't know what y'all working with. So I shame them.
Don't teach that either. They don't
and then
teach
hit
that
them
either.
over the head with the grow stick. And they all considered their other options. But this happens in my community because I do it. I'm not waiting for the people that I know are already dropping the ball to do it. So you have to be proactive in your own community. You can't wait for somebody else to do it. They barely teach them the stuff they need to know to graduate from high school. So you can express sexual health.
I got a quick funny story talking about community.
Then we got to get our super
quick
chat.
funny story. So similar vein. So when my daughter and her little girlfriends, we were out shopping somewhere with my aunt. My aunt was still living, right? So they were in the store, and so my aunt and I were in kind of like one little aisle, and they went in another, but we could still see them. So my aunt saw this older guy, like eyeing them, right? They just laughing, little girls. So my aunt, before I knew it, she had her umbrella, right? And she went to the guy and she told him, she said, I wish you would. I wish you would. I will F you up in this store today. They don't have to carry me out. She said, they are little girls. They are young. You need to take your blah, blah, blah. I mean, she read him. Next thing I know, whatever that man had, whatever he's supposed to be shopping, he put it down. He just left out the store. And so to your point,
community
more
standards.
More direct activism.
Yeah.
Community standards.
Yeah.
And again,
And these people, we have to know our worth. We have to know, just our worth. We have some super chatters.
Oh, okay. We do have super chatters. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys. Kung Fu CJ again. Nicole, those are training films in the Navy. Oh,
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Kung Fu CJ. Chantel, $5. Nicole, you are wearing those boots.
Yeah. I wish I could squeeze my food. I wish I could squeeze my foot in those boots.
CJ, $5 again. Thank you. Lack of morals brings sin and devastation. Blame the parents, and they need to go to jail also. Thank you, Kung Fu. Thank you, Kung Fu CJ. Cindy, thank you for your $10 super chat. As an older white woman, I have never experienced you wonderful ladies being racist. I love your podcast and your message. I look forward to your show and miss you when you're not. Oh, that is so sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cindy.
Cindy.
Black Pearl 7, thank you for your $5 super chat. I tell non-rich Democrats that before the internet, Democrats got away with brainwashing people. Now they are being exposed about their corruption.
That's very true.
Thank you for that super chat. We had Jack Barney, who became a YouTube member. Thank you, Jackie. Carol, hi, Carol. Thank you for your $2. He learned that from his dad. You can tell.
A lot
There
of
you
people
go.
said that too.
Kung Fu CJ, $10 super chat. At 14, I was in this situation. I was a lookout. The female liked one of the guys. It was planned. I saw people coming and we ran. Her parents told her to lie on us. Okay, Kung Fu CJ.
That's what the person I was talking about is said before. This is really a thing. It really is.
Yeah, create with TLC. Thank you for your $10 super chat. As a racist, I approve this message. I love it. I don't know what they calling us or you racist anymore means nothing. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay, and go back to work. P.S. Nicole, I love those boots. Thank you. Yeah. Kung Fu CJ again. Oh, we got that with the $2 super chat. Nicole, those are training films in the Navy. Thank you all for your super chats. Remember, hit that like, share, and subscribe. We have about 400 or so people watching. Make sure the likes, shares, and subscribe match that number.
And I want to give a special shout out to our production staff. Wow, wow. I mean, the zooming in on the shoes. I mean, they have done an outstanding job, folks. And so we don't shout them out enough. But we have a phenomenal production staff here, and they're doing the thing tonight. So please, folks, if you super chat, super chat for them. Yeah, they're doing a great job tonight.
And one more thing, don't forget at the bottom of the crawl, someone asked about it. You can buy us a lipstick. That's our Cash App there as well. The address is at the bottom of the crawl, going right across.
Yeah, Cash App, but you can Cash App super chat to us, and it goes right to us. And folks, after the show, sometimes we like to go out and get even just like a half a burger or a salad or something.
No, I'm a salad girl.
We can only do it with your super chat.
Celery.
KJ always tell me with my salad. There she go with her salad.
Yes, indeed.
Or my Brussels sprouts.
Ooh. All right, folks. Well, we are at the end of our time. We got our merch there. Nicole.
Absolutely. It's merchandise time. The best way to support us is through our merchandise. And I can tell you why. It makes you a part of the family. They are conversation starters, not Black, not white, American. Don't let them divide us. If that's not a conversation starter, I don't know what is. And at this time when we're celebrating America's 250th birthday, this is a hot button shirt. It really and truly is. So get your merch. It helps us stay on the air again, because you guys, this is not our real job. I have 2 other jobs aside from this one. This is not a get-rich quick scheme for us. We do this because we love it and we love you. We like talking to you. We like seeing that YouTube calls us a news channel.
Yeah.
Oh, they called us January. I was in Winchester, Virginia, so I pulled it up on the hotel TV and typed in pop and politics. And it said news channel.
Yeah.
I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I'm on the news.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is the way that you can help us make the channel great. Thank you very much.
We have another super chatter here. I'm going to butcher your name. I'm going to try. Is it Socius or Sashas from Australia?
Woo!
Australia, $20. Just like in Australia, our government pays the wrong people to breed, sadly. Love you, ladies. Thank you so much for that super chat. We got to do the little currency exchange to see what that comes up to. But thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. All right, folks. We will be back on Friday night at 9 p.m. So please, if you haven't done so already, hit that like button and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. All right, we will be back on Friday night at 9 p.m. Until next time, thank you so much for all of your super chats, all of your likes. Count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.